to give an update on my fellow chicks that were born at the Kimberly Public Library back in May.
Hi, this is Holly from the Kimberly Library. Just taking a quick snap of these baby chicks that were born at the library. Let's see, they were born early in May, so they're only about a month old, really. And they're starting to get big and gawky looking. But they're all doing well. They like their new home. They're outside.
I'm going to turn things over to Jill and Julie. They're going to tell you about books that take place on farms or involve farming. I hear there's even a chicken heist. See you later.
Hi, well, thanks, Little Redhead, for giving us a great intro there, and for Holly for giving us an intro on what our chicks are doing.
They look fantastic.
They sure
so
do.
Happy they're doing well on her farm. So, Jill, your first pick for books that take place on a farm or involve farming.
So my first pick is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This was published in August 2023. In the spring of 2020, Lara's three daughters returned to the family's orchard in northern Michigan. While picking cherries, they begged their mother to tell them the story of Peter Duke, a famous actor with whom she shared both a stage and a romance years before at a theater company called Tom Lake. As Lara recalls the past, her daughters examine their own lives in relationship with their mother and are forced to reconsider the world and everything they thought they knew. Tom Lake is a meditation on youthful love, married love, and the lives parents have led before their children were born. Both hopeful and elegiac, it explores what it means to be happy even when the world is falling apart. So, and this is on my list.
Mine too.
Hear great things about this one. Sorry.
My first pick is a love-inspired, and there's a lot of love-inspired books that take place on farms in this Amish series. So this is Sunflower Farms Redemption by Stacey Strong, and this is a new one from this year. His return is a threat to her future and her heart. After leaving home a decade ago, Jessie Cooper returns with one goal in mind: sell the family farm. But longtime manager Rose McFarland is not about to let the man who broke her heart risk her future. Working side by side for the Sunflower Festival, Rose sets out to prove Jessie can leave the property in her very capable hands. But when forgiveness turns to love, will she convince him to stay? So read the book. Find out what happens at Sunflower Farms.
Sunflower Farms. Well, what a fun farm to work at. So this next one is a nonfiction. Farm Girl, a Wisconsin Memoir by Buena Coburn Carlson. This was published in 2020. When Bunny Coburn was growing up, neighbors came together in times of hardship. No matter the trouble, they faced it with determination, camaraderie, and resourcefulness. In the midst of the Great Depression, despite record-breaking heat and crop failure, growing up on a family farm was nevertheless filled with bucolic pleasures. The Farm Girl is Buena Bunny Coburn Carlson's loving tribute to the gently rolling hills of western Wisconsin. With an inviting and fluid voice, she shares intimate moments of happiness, from her collecting butternuts for homemade maple candy, watching her father read by the flickering light of a kerosene lamp, and the joy of finding a juicy orange at the bottom of a Christmas stocking. Underlying each vignette is the courage of a strong family, surviving adversity and finding comfort in one another. Hers is a memoir that readers can dip in and out with pleasure. So, Farm Girl, Memoir of Wisconsin.
Oh, that sounds good. My next pick is by far my favorite cover this week. This is Barn 8, a novel by Deb Unferth, and this is the book that Little Red Hen mentioned about a chicken heist. Two auditors for the U.S. egg industry go rogue and conceive a plot to steal 1 million chickens in the middle of the night, an entire egg farm's worth of animals. Janie and Cleveland, a spirited former runaway and the officious head of audits, assemble a precarious, quarrelsome team and descend on the farm on a dark spring evening, and then a series of catastrophes ensues. This author's widely inventive novel is a heist story of a very unusual sort. It's swirling with a rich array of voices. It takes readers into the minds of these renegades: a farmer's daughter, a former director of undercover investigations, hundreds and hundreds of activists, a forest ranger who suddenly comes upon 40,000 hens, and a security guard who's left on an empty farm for years. There are glimpses 20,000 years into the future to see what chickens might evolve into on our contaminated planet. We hear what hens think happens when they die. In the end, the cracked hearts of these indelible characters, their earnest efforts to heal themselves, and their radical actions will lead them to ruin or revelation. It's described as funny, whimsical, philosophical, and heartbreaking, and it ultimately asks, what constitutes meaningful action in a world so in need of change? This author comes at this question with striking ingenuity, razor-sharp wit, and a ferocious passion. It's a rare comic political drama and a tour de force for our time. Barn 8 with a chicken heist.
It does win best cover, I think. Although this one's not bad either. This is another this is another nonfiction. Folks, This Ain't Normal, a farmer's advice for happier hens, healthier people, and a better world. By Joel Salatin. From farmer Joel Salatin's point of view, life in the 21st century just ain't normal. In Folks, This Ain't Normal, he discusses how far removed we are from the simple, sustainable joy that comes from living close to the land and the people we love. Salatin has many thoughts on what normal is and shares practical and philosophical ideas for changing our lives in small ways that have a big impact. Salatin, hailed by the New York Times as Virginia's most multifaceted agrarian since Thomas Jefferson and a high priest of the pasture, and profiled in the Academy Award-nominated documentary Food, Inc. and the best-selling book The Omnivore's Dilemma, understands what foods should be wholesome, seasonal, raised naturally, procured locally, prepared lovingly, and eaten with a profound reverence for the circle of life. And his message doesn't stop there. From child rearing to creating quality family time to respecting the environment, Salatin writes with a wicked sense of humor and true storyteller's knack for revealing an anecdote. Salatin's crucial message and distinctive voice, practical, provocative, scientific, and down-home philosophical in equal measure, makes Folks, This Ain't Normal a must-read book. So, yeah. A farmer's, it sounds like he's ideas of what he thinks life should be like.
For life and his happy hens.
And his happy hens.
My third pick, of course, there's a cozy that fits this category. So this is In Farm's Way, a farm-to-table mystery by Amanda Flower, and this was published last year. Even the best laid plants can go awry. After solving a murder and getting her organic farm ready to overwinter, Shiloh Bellamy still expects the next few months to be busy with repairs, spring planning, and networking with local businesses. She might even be able to broker a new partnership with Fields Brewery and its Organic Brewers Association. Well, she could if the owner wasn't found murdered at the county ice fishing derby. Once again, Shiloh gets tangled up in the investigation when the police ignore an entire crop of suspects to blame one of her friends. She'll have to dig deep to find the truth, reel in a killer, and convince her city slicker pug to wear his winter boots. But with Bellamy Farm still struggling, can Shiloh spare the time to look into the town's fishy characters? Or will her dream farm be the next thing floating belly up? She's a USA Today best-selling author, and this is actually the third book in the Farm to Table series, which begins with Farm to Trouble, and then Put Out to Pasture, and then this one, In Farm's Way, by Amanda Flower.
I love the play on words with those. In Farm's Way. Mm-hmm. So my next one is from 2006. It's Dairy Queen by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch. When you don't talk, there's a lot of stuff that ends up not getting said. Harsh words and deeds from Barry Nelson of all people, but DJ can't help admitting maybe he's right. When you don't talk, there's a lot of stuff that ends up not getting said. Stuff like why her best friend Amber isn't so friendly anymore, or why her little brother Curtis never opens his mouth, why her mom has 2 jobs and a big secret, why her college football star brothers won't even call home, why her dad would go ballistic if she tried out for high school football team herself, and why Brian is so out of her league. When you don't talk, there's a lot of stuff that ends up not getting said. Welcome to the summer that 15-year-old DJ Schwenk on Red Bend, Wisconsin learns to talk and ends up having an awful lot of stuff to say. So it's based in Wisconsin, too. Not a surprise with the cow on the cover.
That's a good cover, too, Dairy Queen. My fourth pick is The Well, and this is by Catherine Chanter, published in 2015. Ruth Ardingly has just been released from prison to serve out a sentence of house arrest for arson and suspected murder at her farm, The Well. Beyond its borders, some people whisper she is a witch. Others think she's a messiah. For as soon as Ruth returns to The Well, rain begins to fall on the farm, and it hasn't rained anywhere else in the country in over 3 years. Ruth and her husband Mark had moved years before from London in the hopes of starting their lives over. But then the drought began, and as the surrounding land dried up and died, and the well grew lush and full of life, they came to see their fortune could come at a price. From the envy of their neighbors to the mandates of the government, from the fanaticism of a religious order called the Sisters of the Rose to the everyday difficulties of staying close as husband and wife, mother and child, all these forces led to a horrifying crime: the death of their 7-year-old grandson, drowned with cruel irony in one of the few ponds left in the countryside. Now, back at the well, Ruth must piece together the tragedy that shattered her marriage, her family, her dreams. For she believes her grandson's death was no accident, and that the murder is among the people that she trusted most. Alone except for her guards on a tiny green jewel in a world rapidly turning to dust, Ruth begins to confront her worst fears and learns what really happened in the dark heart of the well. So this author is a winner of the Lucy Cavendish Fiction Prize. Sounds like an interesting book. Dark,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Wow. A thinker. So this is my next one, The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. I think I talked about this book only a couple weeks ago, but it's back. A 4-year-old Mi'kmaq girl goes missing from the blueberry fields of Maine, sparking a tragic mystery that haunts the survivors, unravels a community, and remains unsolved for nearly 50 years. July 1962, the Mi'kmaq family from Nova Scotia arrives in Maine to pick blueberries for the summer. Weeks later, 4-year-old Ruthie, the family's youngest child, vanishes. She is last seen by her 6-year-old brother, Joe, sitting on a favorite rock at the edge of the berry field. Joe will remain distraught by his sister's disappearance for years to come. In Maine, a young girl named Norma grows up as the only child of an affluent family. Her father is emotionally distant. Her mother is frustratingly overprotective. Norma is often troubled by recurring dreams and visions that seem more like memories than imagination. As she grows older, Norma slowly comes to realize there is something her parents aren't telling her. Unwilling to abandon her intuition, she will spend decades trying to uncover this family secret. This was published last year in 2023.
Also on my list of books to read. My last one is my nonfiction pick for this week, and it's Wastelands, the true story of a farm country on trial by Corbin Addison, and this was published back in 2022. The once idyllic coastal plain of North Carolina is home to a close-knit rural community that for more than a generation has battled the polluting practices of large-scale farming taking place in its own backyard. After years of frustration and futility, an impassioned group of local residents, led by a team of intrepid and dedicated lawyers, filed a lawsuit against one of the world's most powerful companies, and miraculously, they won. It's described as vivid and as fast-paced as a thriller. It takes us into the heart of a legal battle over the future of America's farmland and into the lives of the people who found the courage to fight. There's Elsie Herring, the most outspoken of the neighbors. She's endured racial slurs and the threat of a restraining order to tell the story of the waste raining down on her rooftop from the hog operation next door. There's Don Webb, a larger-than-life hog farmer turned grassroots crusader. And Rick Dove, a riverkeeper and erstwhile military judge who has pioneered the use of aerial photography to document the scale of the pollution. There's Waddell McGowan, a quiet man whose quest to redeem his family's ancestral land encourages him to become a better neighbor. And Dr. Steve Wang, a groundbreaking epidemiologist whose work on the health effects of hog waste exposure translates the neighbors' stories into the argot of science. And then there's Tom Butler, an environmental savant and hog industry insider whose whistleblowing testimony electrifies the jury. Fighting alongside them in the courtroom is Mona Lisa Wallace, love the name, who broke the gender barrier in her small southern town and built a storied legal career out of vanquishing corporate giants, and Mike Kiske, whose trial skills are second to none. So this author captures the inspiring struggle to bring a modern-day monopoly to its knees and to force a once invisible corporation to change and to preserve the rights and restore the heritage of a long-suffering community. So this actually does sound like it reads like fiction, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's intrigue.
Wastelands, the true story of a farm country on trial.
Farm Country on Trail. Well, we hoped you enjoyed the update on the chicks as much as we did. And if you're looking to go on the farm for a little bit, we have some good reads suggestions for you here. You know, whether you want to get nostalgic or creepy or
Cozy mystery, Amish, love inspired. We've got a mixed bag this week. Thank you for watching our videos. You can find us on our Facebook page, Kimberly Public Library's website, our YouTube channel. And until next time, we thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.